Don't worry, there's nothing wrong with your television set. This is a Pixie Bell. The sound is much too high for human ears. Oh, there you are, Tink.
The brand known as Disney is easily one of the biggest companies in the world. They're constantly growing and expanding with new acquisitions and deals, including one that they just made with the NFL. And as such, they are always making new content. Disney this year has a lot lined up, from the recently released Raya and the Last Dragon to several Marvel films, a Pixar movie, and more. But while they portray themselves as bright and cheery, there is a darkness to them, one that they try very hard to keep obscured from the public eye. So with that being said, allow us to reveal 7 hidden Disney secrets you never knew about. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 7. Rights of workers. If you go to Disney World or Disneyland or any other parks under the Disney name, you'll find yourself looking at some of your favorite characters brought to life via costumes and outfits. And of course, the workers themselves that help the park function. But the people under those costumes and outfits and uniforms have a somewhat dark history. There are plenty of tales of people in those costumes getting too close to the customers of the park, but that's not all. Walt Disney was many things, but he was also a control freak when it came to what his employees could and could not do. For example, they couldn't have long facial hair unless they were portraying a character that needed such a thing. Disney also demanded a certain look of his employees in terms of hair and hair color, a rule that lasted well into the 2000s before being lightened up. Trust us when we say there are tons of other stories about how workers are taken advantage of at Disney parks, so do us all a favor and treat the costume people nicely when you go to the parks next. Number 6. Disney's personality. Walt Disney is without a doubt one of the most important people in animation history, or just history of media if we're being honest. He had a rough life at points, as you'll see soon, and yet he made something of himself by trying hard to get into animation. In his career, he made 81 feature films and won many awards because of it. And that's to say nothing of the empire he made via Disney. But that's where the problem comes in, because depending on who you talk to, Disney wasn't exactly who you thought he was. It's noted that in the public he had a warm and kind personality, but many agree this was a front to maintain a good image for his company. In private, he was shy to an extent, very self-deprecating, and had zero tolerance for bad work. To that extent, it's noted that he would punish his animators very hard in order to get the work he envisioned being done. Also, there have been many accusations that Disney was honestly a racist and had some very interesting views about how America could grow as a country, mainly imperialism. Since he's gone now, we'll never know what he was really like, and that might honestly be for the best. Number 5. Finding Nemo genocide. Pixar is one of the best things out there right now with their movies, but one of the films that many claim is still one of the best of the bunch by far is Finding Nemo. In the movie, there is a scene where a fish notes to Nemo that he should want to get flushed down the toilet. Why? Because all drains lead to the ocean.
I was aiming for the toilet.
Toilet?
All drains lead to the ocean, kid.
A harmless line, right? Here's the problem. After hearing about how certain fish get caught and sold, a boatload, pun intended, of kids decided they would go and flush their goldfish down the drain so that they could go and be with their families in the ocean again. Which is very sweet, but very, very wrong. All toilet drains do not lead to the ocean, not even close. What's more, the mere act of being flushed down the toilet can actually kill a fish. And then, if they survive the journey, they just end up in the sewer, which has polluted water, toxic gases, and more. Disney had to release a statement on why not to do this apparently, and that just goes to show the influence that their movies can have on fans. Oops. Number 4. Mother. A classic movie trope that is meant to inspire the main character is one form or another the plot device of losing a parent. But many have noted that in many Disney films, the mother of the character is nowhere to be found, or they die in the film. Snow White, Belle from Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Bambi, Cinderella, and more don't have their mothers, and this is for a very simple reason. Walt Disney's mother died in a very sudden fashion, and it affected him. Her name was Flora Call Disney, and unlike Disney's characters, she was present throughout much of his life. But then, not long after the success of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, she died. Walt had even bought her a house with the earnings he had made from the film, but she barely got to live in it. One night, a leaky furnace poured gas into the house, and it caused her to pass on. Walt Disney blamed himself for his mother's death, and that clearly affected many of the stories that he wrote and helped animate. puts a different spin on things, don't you think? Number 3, racist depictions. Disney films, like many other films, are a product of the times, and that can be bad when you look back at them, especially when it comes to racism in its many forms. The infamous movie Song of the South featured a man named Uncle Remus telling a story about a rabbit and a fox, and he sang the legendary song Zippity Doo Dah, which actually got an Oscar for Best Song.
Zippity doo dah, zippity yay.
But the movie itself was filled with all sorts of racist remarks about African Americans and their culture. Slavery actually isn't mentioned in the film, despite it clearly being after, though some thought before, the Civil War. Also, plantations are shown as good working places instead of the slave labor they were during the times. Though the film is etched in Disney's history for many reasons, including having a ride dedicated to it at several theme parks, it is not the most beloved Disney film, and it hasn't had a video DVD release in nearly 40 years. But that's not the end of the racism in Disney films, not even close. In the beloved film Peter Pan, we meet the tribe of Tiger Lily, and every single Indian that is shown there has red faces, which is a stereotype of Native Americans from the European perspective. The tribe even sings a song called What Makes the Red Man Red, and during the song the tribe repeatedly uses the word Injun, which is a racist insult to the tribes of the land. Yes, Disney has gotten better, but the fact that they did this at all is very telling. Number 2, Donald Gets Drafted. Easily one of the most dark stories of Disney's animated run is one tale that takes place in World War II called Donald Gets Drafted. This particular story saw the famous duck decide to join the United States Army in the hopes of becoming a pilot, but he just becomes a soldier instead. Through a series of events, he ends up in a hole and he truly believes that he has lost his legs. Donald is, needless to say, distraught about this, and thinks that the only way to solve this problem is to take his commander's gun and take his own life. No, really. What's worse is that his commander, in this case Pete, encourages him to do this, but asks that he wait until he leaves so he doesn't have to see it. Thankfully, Donald didn't die, but this was a very dark depiction of war and PTSD-like trauma, and not something that Disney talks about, ever. Number 1, hidden messages. One of the biggest controversies surrounding Disney and their films is that of the hidden messages that many claim are in the films. But not just some of the films, a large selection of them. Little Mermaid, Alice in Wonderland, The Lion King, Aladdin, and more are said to have hidden messages that were inserted by the animators and artists to have fun, yet they are actually rather disturbing when viewed by the wrong eyes. One of the more popular ones is from The Little Mermaid, where if you look at the castle of King Triton on the cover of the movie, you'll see an adult item as one of the pillars of the castle. Another classic one is that in the movie Aladdin, during the scene where Prince Ali is trying to win over Jasmine, there is a sound clip that has someone saying, "Good little teens, take your clothes off."
Come on, good. Can you just take off the clothes? Down, can you?
Now, this story of hidden messages has even become part of a pop culture, with all sorts of people weighing in on it and trying to prove that Disney indeed had a more adult mind in their kids' movies. Whether it's true or not is hard to prove, given how hard it is to find an original copy of one of the films, as well as how easy it is to insert things like sound clips into movies if they wanted to. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at the history of Disney and how things aren't exactly what they appear with them? Did you honestly know about some of these stories and secrets before? Which ones didn't you know about and were shocked by? Do you think Disney has more secrets to spill? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and we will see you next time on the channel.